大家好，大西。今天呢，我们又来到了这个熟悉的场景。那我们现在要来上一对一的课。今天的计划就是要让我们知道我是怎么上一对一的。那我们就叫我们老师来吧 ，Go Go！
Hey Zach, good morning. You ready?
Yes.
All right, let's head in. All right. You ready? All right. All right. Why don't you tell me about your weekend? So what are you gonna do this weekend? Nothing.
Next week I will go to
Next week. Oh, really? Are you gonna go with your mom and dad? Oh, just your dad. Oh, so it's just like a boys' trip. Just you and your dad? No one else? Oh, nice. Have you been to Hong Kong before? You have. What do you like about Hong Kong? Do you like the food, the city?
No.
You don't like anything about Hong Kong? Why not?
I like Japan.
You like Japan more. Okay. But you've been to Hong Kong how many times? Oh, just one time before? Oh, so why are you going this time then? Is it because
My dad just can go there.
Does he have a business trip there?
No.
Oh, he's just going there. Oh, but maybe you can film a lot of content, right? That's good. So let's finish talking about wishes, alright? Why don't we review just one paragraph, alright? Just one of these little ones, alright? Just so we can show everyone how well you read English. You read it so well. You ready? Which one do you want to read? Which one do you want to review? Just pick one. Is that because you think it's the shortest one? Alright. Now before you read though, right? You look over here, right? There's a question mark. So your voice has to go up. You understand? Yes. Yes. Kind of. Alright. No, but I'm serious though. It does have to go up. Right? And then when you read the words, well, are there any words here that you are not sure, you forget how to pronounce? Do you know, really? Do you know this word? Oh, good. Like next week you will have an adventure in Hong Kong. What about, you know this?
Mexico.
Okay. And then do you know this?
Suitcase.
Do you know what a suitcase is? Oh. Okay. Does your suitcase look like this? What does your suitcase look like?
Small.
It's smaller than this.
My suitcase.
Does it have wheels?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And then you just pull it, right? Okay. Very nice. Alright, so we're not reading about Hong Kong, we're reading about Mexico. Let's start over here.
Do you wish to go traveling in the new year? In Mexico, if you want to wish for a year of travel and adventure, then get an empty suitcase and walk around the block at
Midnight. Do you know what time midnight is?
No. Yes.
What time is midnight?
12 o'clock.
Is it 12 o'clock in the day or the night?
Night.
Good. You're so smart. You're so good at English. Very good. Cool.
Circle the sentence that first sentence presents the main idea.
Good, the main idea. So main idea is big picture. Alright? So let's look at number 1. So number 1 here says section 1, common traditions around the world. Alright, so here we need to circle the sentence A, B, or C. That's the main idea. Alright? So let's look at A. Right? A talks about what? Decorating cakes. Right? So we don't need to read all of it, right? Otherwise it's going to take forever. We just see what the main idea for each one is. This one is decorating cakes, right? Let's look at B. B, what is the main idea for B? What are the important words in B?
There are few of the most common types of which we need to read.
Okay, Good, so that's B, right? So the important words would be two common types wish, right? Those 4 words. And then what about C? C, what's the main idea for C? So you don't want to read C, it's quite long. What's the main idea?
Making wishes common all over the world.
Good, so we want to say maybe traditions, superstitions, wishes, common, right? So from the first section, right? So we don't need to read the first section, but just to remind you, right? The first section about over here, these 2 pages, you remember reading them, right? So we read them in class, so now we're just reviewing the main ideas. Main ideas, we don't need to read it again. We just need to remember what most of the stories we're talking about. So which one is it, A, B, or C? What? B? Well, if we look at the reading, right? If we look at the reading, right, we have make a wish and then common traditions around the world, right? So,
C.
oh, okay, let's take a look at C. Okay, good. It would be C. You want to take your pencil, your magic pencil, and circle C. Good. Alright, so this is the same thing for 2 and 3. For 2, origins of popular wishes. So if we look back, let's see. This is the page here. The wishbone, the dandelions, and the ladybugs over here. Right? These are specific types of wish-making ways, wish-making traditions. Let's look at A, B, and C. So again, we don't need to read them because it's going to take forever. Let's look at A, right? What are the important words in A? The important words are probably in the middle. Longer piece, wish, right? Is that one talking about which one? The wishbone, the ladybug, or the dandelion? For A. Longest piece, right? So, good. Not the dandelion.
Wishbone.
The wishbone, right? Dandelion, we don't use the word piece. What about B? Let's look at B. Again, we don't need to read it. We just look at the main idea. Alright, B here says what? So the key word, right? Maybe it's a word you don't quite remember here, right? Origins. Do you know what origins means?
Yeah.
It just means where something starts from, right? Don't you see this word here and then this word here? Is it the same? It is the same, right? So probably this one might be the answer, but we need to check C really quick. So for C, what's the main idea for C? What do you think it is?
Dandelion.
Good. It's just that word there. It's about the dandelion, right? But remember, main ideas are not the details, right? So this is a detail, this is a detail. So the answer would be what? Good, be B. Good. Why don't you read B for us? Let's look.
Let's look at the origins of other popular wish-making traditions.
Good. So for the word oranges, you don't want to say oranges like the fruit. Origins, right? So the I here is a little bit shorter. Orig, right? Your mouth goes up and down, right? Origins. Can you say it one more time?
Origins.
Good. Origins. Alright, origins. You almost have me making it mixed up. Alright, let's look at the last one, alright? New Year's wishes. Alright, so this one was just the page before on page 45. The one about Mexico eating the burned paper, alright, and all of that stuff. The grapes. So let's take a look. So again, let's look at the main ideas. So let's look at A. So for A, what are the main keywords?
New Year's Eve.
Good, New Year's Eve, right? That would be the key phrase. Let's look at B. Sometimes the way we make these wishes can be strange and funny.
Wishes can be strange and fun.
Good, they can be strange or fun. But strange, funny, right? And the last one, what do you think the last one's keywords are?
particular country.
Peculiar.
Peculiar country.
Good. Peculiar and then country, right? So remember, this part is talking about 3 different countries, and it's asking you what wish-making traditions in your country are a little bit strange, right? A little bit weird, but maybe unique, right? So what do you think the main idea for section 3 is?
Question.
Good, I think it's the question too. Good, so circle C. Can you read the question for us one more time?
Do you have any peculiar ones in your country?
Good, and you raised your voice at the end. Good job. Alright, let's take a look at the last section, or almost the last section for this page here. Alright, so for part 5, we're gonna actually be using the whiteboard today. Best of luck to you. Alright, and we're just gonna map out the ideas like we have been before. Alright, now we're moving on to our next activity, getting a little bit interactive, alright? So we're gonna take our main ideas. So main idea here we have MI, to keep it short. Then we have our details, right? Alright, so we have section 1, 2, and 3 here. Why don't we work backwards since we, had read section 3 recently over here. Alright, Zach, so why don't you grab a marker. Alright, I know you love writing on the board. Alright, so first we need the main idea for section 3. Now this one's not too hard because we just answered the question here about what's mostly the main idea, right? But we can't just copy it, of course, because it's not the right answer, right? We need to change it a little bit, alright? So for number 3, right, let's look back at the previous page. Right, so we have Russia, Mexico, Spain, right? And these are telling us what? Are they telling us different ways to say hello? No, right? They're telling us what? How to make wishes, right? And what to do to get a wish to come true, right? So we need to put something that's all about this into one sentence here, right? So let's think of some keywords first. So what are some keywords we can put to make a nice little sentence? What do you think? You are funny. What do you think? If we look at our story here, right? So let's take a look here, right? See this word here? Peculiar, right? So this one's bolded. So the book's almost helping us give the answer, right? We probably want to use peculiar in our sentence about the main idea, alright? So Russia, Mexico, Spain are examples of what? Are those countries or cities?
Country. It's country.
Which one?
Country.
Countries, right? Good. So maybe we can start by saying some countries, because that's what it's about, right? So why don't you write in English up here, some countries, alright? Are you tall enough? Okay, good. Ooh, but we're gonna need to make it plural, right? Some is more than one. Alright, I-E-S, good. And then we need capital S here. Let's write nicely. Ooh. Okay, so some countries, right? So some countries what, right? So if we look over here, right, what is this about here? This is about what? Making what? Wishes, right? So why don't we say some countries make, so we want to use the verb, right? So we want to think about what is it about first. Some countries make what? So what are we talking about here? Wishes, right? New Year's wishes, but let's keep it simple, wishes. You know how to spell wishes, boy? Alright. Good, so we have some countries make wishes. Very nice, alright. So some countries make wishes, alright, and here it's about what? It's not just about making wishes, right? It's about what?
How to.
Good, oh good, very good. Alright, so we want to use that on the last part, but we can't just say how to make, because that's a question, right? How's a question? So we can say something like some countries make wishes. When we want to talk about how we do something, do we say in or on or at? In a certain way. Oh, I just said the answer. In, right? It's gonna be in. So we can say in right? Because in tells us how someone or something does something else, all right? So in, and then we want to use our vocabulary, peculiar. In a, ooh, let's maybe put a little bit of space there. Good. Peculiar. Ooh, okay, let me flash the book to you. Peculiar, yes. Good. So we have some countries make wishes in a peculiar. And then here, what is the word here that means like how you do something? You remember? It's gonna be way, in a peculiar way. Good. That's it. And then period. You gotta end the sentence. Very nice. Main idea. Now we gotta go here to the details, right? So this is about just one sentence. What's all this about? But here we need to go country by country. But there's only 3. It's not that many, right? So let's take a look at Russia. You remember Russia's, right? Because most people in our class found it. Oh, maybe that. All right, maybe that. But maybe not, alright? So looking at the picture, what was Russia's tradition for making wishes?
Write the wishes in a piece of paper.
Okay, and then do what?
Burn it.
And then? Ooh. And then what do you do after you burn it?
Throw it.
You what?
Throw it.
Throw it? Not throw it. You put it in what and drink it? Remember? In water.
In water.
Exactly. Before 12:01 a.m. Alright, so we gotta write some details here, alright? So we'll do it by the countries, alright? But we don't need to write super long sentences, alright? So we can say what? So what do we call people that live in Russia?
Russia.
No, we wouldn't say Taiwan people, right? We say what? We say Russians. Alright, so why don't you write here, we're gonna write Russians, capital R. You know how to spell Russian? What letter makes a? NS. We're gonna need NS, right? Because it's the people. Good. Alright, so what do Russians do, right? You said Russians, what? They write their wishes, right? So let's just write what you said. Keep it simple. Russians write wishes. Good. And then we're going to use a comma. And then what do they do after they write it on a piece of paper?
Drink.
Not drink. What do they do before drink and after write?
Throw it in water.
Okay, before that.
Burn it.
Good. They burn it. So you say Russians write wishes, burn them, or burn it, because it will be above paper. So we're going to say burn. This is brawn. U-R. Yes. Burn it, comma, and then we can just keep it simple, drink it, right? Russians write wishes, burn it. Oh, here it's the last thing though, right? So we're gonna need and. You can just do a little caret. You don't have to erase it all. Well, I mean, oh, you wrote so big. But we have 3 countries.
Huh?
Remember, I said we have 3 countries, so we need to write 1 for each. That's okay. We can use the space up here, maybe. If you're tall enough to reach. Okay. So we have something for Russia. Do you remember what Mexico's was? Mexico. Alright, well Mexico is what you're doing next week, kind of, right? The suitcase. So let's take a look, alright? In Mexico, if you want to wish for a year of travel and adventure, then get an empty suitcase and walk around the block at midnight. Alright, so we can use the same sentence pattern here. What do we call people that are from Mexico?
Mexican.
Mexican, I almost said the answer. So why don't we write up here, Mexicans? It would be EX, Mex. Alright. Just one Mexican? No, there we go. Alright, so we can say Mexicans, and then what do they do with their empty suitcase? First we can say that they get one, so we can say Mexicans get an empty suitcase. Empty, yeah. You remember, that was our vocabulary. Good. I just fix up the CO. Get an empty suitcase, and it's just two things they do. They get something, then they do something else. So we need and here, right? Good. And then what do they do with the empty suitcase?
Walk around.
Good. Let's just say walk around. Good. You are that good. Alright, and then we're going to need to do something about Spain, maybe over here. Do you know what we can call people from Spain?
Spanish.
What? Spanish. That's funny. Well, we can say, here actually we can't say Spanish. We're going to have to say Spanish people. Alright, some countries, but don't we need capital S, boy? We need capital up here, not down here. Can you make the P longer? You don't want people to think you're 5 years old, boy. Alright, Spanish. Spanish people. A-N, Span-ish. People. Good. Alright, so what do Spanish people do? You remember? They do something about grapes, right?
Eat.
But how many do they eat? Not 5. Think about 1 year. What number is about?
360.
That's a lot of grapes. What's another way to think about a year? I mean, huh? Not good. No, I mean a number. So 365 days in a year.
366.
No.
364.
No, it's not that many.
What?
No. Now think about one. Okay.
10.
Why would it be 12?
Yeah, 12.
Good. That's it. You're so funny. Spanish people eat. So in English you can't go through the caret. You're gonna need to go over here. Spanish people eat 12 grapes. Good. You remember, if it's more than 10, we can write the number out. Spanish people eat 12 grapes. And then we're gonna need to write why they eat 12. 4. And then what did you just tell me that 12, what is there 12 of in here? Good. 4, 12 months of the year. Beautiful. Good. So I think what we'll do is, for this part, I'll read a little, you read a little, and then we read together, just for the comment. I think it'll be okay, right? Do you want to do anything else for the video?
Yes, I want to go out.
No, I mean
Yeah,
in front of the camera. I'm just trying to help you, boy.
No, you're trying to have that on.
No. Isn't this going to be on your channel, or is it on your mom's channel?
Yes, my mom's here.
She has a YouTube channel? No.
No. My dad has IG.
Yeah, I know you told me. Well, anyway, I'm just trying to help you and your mom get content, alright? Just different activities.
So don't have
What'd you say? Yeah. Well, I don't know. What is he... You know after this that I'm in your mom's like asking me questions. Did you know that? Like interviewing.
Don't have.
What? You know she sent me some questions and I prepared some answers and stuff.
So how old is it?
What?
So how old? So
Like
you
what?
what?
I'm not sure if I don't have the details.
She will ask you question in
I think so. She'll ask me about you.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, question.
It's like, oh, how's Zach doing in class?
Good.
I'll say horrible. I'm just kidding. Oh, exactly. I I mean, you're doing fine in class. It's not a huge problem, right? Anyway, let's start from chapter 3. Alright. Oh good, chapter 3 is not too long. You see how long it is? It's very short.
How many?
Alright, let's get started. Alright, so let me tell you what we're gonna do. Alright, so I'm gonna read maybe until here.
Alright.
Just here till here. You're gonna read maybe just here.
Huh?
What?
How many?
No? Zach, this is a class. You actually have to read for the because if you read more, then maybe some of it will be good enough to be in the final cut. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
So this part you need to read really loud though.
Okay,
Because I think when we were playing it, I think I didn't really hear your voice that well. You know what I mean? So in the beginning, you need to read like when it was all. You need to be a little bit like that. Okay. If you can be that loud, why don't you just do this much here?
Huh?
Why don't you just do this? So I said here before, but if you can be louder, it'll be good for the when.
Okay, so I read after you for a while.
Yeah, so after here, you start. And then you just finish with the exclamation
And
point.
the one.
And then after that, we'll try to read together this one paragraph. Okay?
But till traffic.
Yeah, we'll read together
Okay,
this.
go.
Wait. Hold. But if it's not good for the edit, then I think we'll need to keep reading. Alright, you ready? So we're reading, do we need to show the book that we're reading? I'll just show it. Alright. Action. Alright, so right now we're reading Ronald Dahl's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. We're on chapter 3 already, so let's get started. Alright, let's take a look. Mr. Wonka and the Indian Prince. Prince Pondicherry wrote a letter to Mr. Willy Wonka, said Grandpa Joe, and asked him to come all the way out to India and build him a colossal palace entirely out of chocolate. Did Mr. Wonka do it, Grandpa? He did indeed, and what a place it was. It had 100 rooms, and everything was made of either dark or light chocolate. The bricks were chocolate, and the cement holding them together was chocolate. And the windows were chocolate, and all the walls and ceilings were made of chocolate. So were the carpets, and the pictures, and the furniture, and the beds. And when you turned on the taps in the bathroom, hot chocolate came pouring out. When it was all finished, Mr. Wonka said to Prince Pondicherry, I warn you, though it won't last very long, so you'd better start eating it right away.
Nonsense, shouted the prince. I'm not going to eat my
Palace.
I'm not even going to nibble the staircase or lick the walls. I'm going to live in it.
Good. Alright, let's stop there. When you read this part, you need to read it not like not too robotic. No, let me read it to you so you can hear it. So you need to say, nonsense, shouted the prince. I'm not going to eat. So when you emphasize the word, don't do it. Yeah, don't, because you're doing, I'm not going to eat. But exactly. You just, watch out for the coffee and my phone. But Zach, we don't need all the words like that. Because if you do all the words like that, it's going to sound kind of crazy. You know what I mean? We just need, just on the one word, not. I'm not going to eat my palace.
No!
But you have to say the other words. Going to eat my palace. Alright, so I'm going to start reading. You ready? Alright. Action. When it was all finished, Mr. Wonka said to Prince Pondicherry, I warn you though, it won't last very long, so you'd better start eating it right away.
Nonsense, shouted the prince. I'm not going to eat my palace. I'm not even going to nibble the staircase or lick the walls. I'm going to live in it.
Good, that was good.
My first question is Zach doing well in class?
The golden question, I think, right? I mean, of course Zach's doing well in class. I mean, I think, like I mentioned before, honestly, in a lot of his reports before, I think reading, even speaking, I think his accent's actually pretty great. It's pretty neutral if we're really talking about kind of like the accent comparison to other students. I think in the group class, Zach really is energetic, which is good, I think, for review games, for drills and all of that stuff. He pays attention, I think, I mean, at this age, it's normal, I think, for young boys to be very energetic. They see their friends and stuff, and they've been together for like at least 4 years. So sometimes, he might not be super focused, but I think that's normal, right? I think in terms of assessments, I think he's more or less consistent. I wouldn't say that he jumps around, all over the place. I think that would be not really the best, right? I think for the most part he's consistent. So I think his learning overall is pretty consistent. He pays attention for the most part, and I think he has a really good reading skills actually.
Okay, so you actually answered my second question.
Oh,
so
great.
which aspect is Zach especially good at?
I would definitely say reading. I mean, from the get-go, from the beginning, I think reading has always, not just about reading the words, but one thing I'm trying to get the students to do as well is it's kind of like a reading method called chunking. As we're kind of progressing with our English, we're going to read, longer things that have higher level vocabulary that the kids they might be scared to say at first. So what I do with the kids is, but he kind of already naturally does it, is we go through kind of maybe a long sentence or question, and we go through what words in English we would say together, right? And there's always more than one answer for those types of things, but there also is kind of a wrong answer, if you will, or something more unnatural. But I think Zach from the beginning has always had kind of a natural flow to his reading, actually. I mean, sometimes it even surprises me because I think in the group class that we're in, I think a lot of students, they don't love to read per se, or when I call them, they're always like, the natural reaction. But, Zach always kind of has, like a little smile on his face, and he reads pretty well, honestly. There's not a lot of strong readers in the class, and I think he's one of them, to be honest.
So what is your suggestion to Taiwanese children, for them to strengthen their English ability?
There's a lot of, I think that's a good question, first of all. I mean, there's not necessarily like a secret sauce, if you will, or a secret recipe. I think the first thing is interest, and that can look like a lot of different things for different children. It could be, a lot of kids right now, they're into maybe like TikTok or YouTube or video games. I think that's a good component, like a good little part of interest. Of course, if we can get kids more interested in books or more direct hands-on activities, that would be even better. I think interest goes kind of with the idea of creating an environment, right? Or the idea of like immersion, right? I think that's a key word for a lot of parents, right? With the foreign teachers and the classroom, I think that's great, and I think that's not only great here, but I think trying it at home as well. It's difficult because we're not necessarily in an English-speaking country predominantly. So I think really, obviously you and David, you guys have amazing English skills, right? I think you guys have at least, a decent setup of the environment for him, you know what I mean? Compared, I think that's maybe contributing to, his pretty neutral accent, and I think the reading skills are at least kind of absorbing in information. I think that's the first step, creating the environment. I think also going off of creating the environment, also maintaining it. I think a lot of students in Taiwan, from what I notice, kind of stereotypically, generally speaking, is that they're afraid of saying the wrong answer in class, which I can understand. I mean, that's for anywhere, of course, but I find that a lot of students in my classes, they might kind of get frozen a little bit, which occasionally can happen with Zach, for example, like maybe when he was younger, and I think that part, it's not necessarily easy to get rid of, but I think for me as a teacher in the classroom, what I can do is just constantly encourage the students to kind of express themselves. I mean, obviously it's a very kind of Western, maybe more American way of learning, but obviously, English is, kind of from the West, if you will, right? So I think that is necessary, right? Sometimes you need a balance of, they might need to memorize some things. That is just kind of part of life. But I think letting the students know that, you can learn in other ways, which is what I try to do for the kids. I think that's good for them to know, whether they know that they're learning it or not. I think as they get older, a lot of students will realize I learn best this way, or I learn best that way. And I think, kind of also having the kids really participate in class. Zach, I would say he participates pretty decently actually. And sometimes, when the teacher asks the questions and no one knows the answer, or everyone's thinking really hard, there are moments where Zach will kind of say the answer, even if it's a little bit of a guess. And sometimes it surprises me. It's maybe the right answer, or it gets other people thinking about what to add on to the answer. So I think kind of fostering a safe environment, if you will, for learning, I think is a good idea. And not to get, too long-winded. I think another way could also just be, I think as students get older, I think thinking about how to apply it in real life is going to be kind of maybe the next step. Obviously Zach is still quite young, but I think, whether it's teachers or any family or something, kind of showing them, not just explaining, because I can tell Zach all day, or other kids, this will be useful for when you're older, right? But I think showing them, whether that could mean showing them through different media like videos or podcasts, I think showing them kind of the importance of it. For example, vlogging in, I guess, English today, right? I think that's, I've been telling Zach, let's do it. You have at least 116, I think he told me, subscribers. That would be interesting. That's different type of content. And I think going towards something a little bit uncomfortable will help him learn more. That's how we learn, right? If it's always so easy, I think kids will get bored. We'll get bored naturally, and we're not going to really learn more. You know what I'm saying? We'll just kind of reinforce what we already know. So I think developing, cultivating kind of more application of English. So it could be, these one-on-one classes I think are great, because he's using it to, and actually each and every week I will kind of start asking him, what did you do last weekend? Was it fun? What are you going to do today, next weekend? And he really does add on more details as we're talking. I think he told me he's going to Hong Kong next week, right? So then it's okay, well, and I think it's also my job to kind of make the small talk as well, which I think I naturally can kind of do. So when he said that, I was oh my god, have you been to Hong Kong? What do you like about Hong Kong? Who are you going with? Do you have ideas for your vlog? So I think when we talk about things that he enjoys, which I think has been, something we're trying to get Zach to do with English, he really does, want to tell me more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think
we try to connect this language into with his real life.
Exactly. At least for now, when he's, this young. When you're this young, you don't understand this will be good for later in my career, or this will be good for, maybe I want to live abroad, it'll be good. They don't quite, I think, have the capacity to really kind of understand, the way, adults do, right? So I think we can kind of, it's not tricking, it's just kind of integrating it in their life, more or less, which, is challenging, right? Because, kids can be resistant, but I think as long, as the teachers and, educators or family as well, friends, if we can kind of foster that environment, I think it'll at least remain kind of consistent, right? Which I think is key to language learning, for what I think.
Thank you. Wonderful answers. Wonderful answers. Good.
I try.
This video clip will be, really.
I hope so.
Yeah,
It'll be useful.
Because we found that
Watch the sky.